Erev Tov. It's Steve Bruck from Messianic Moment Ministry. It is Erev Yom Kippur, and we're actually in it right now. And I'm home here doing my Yom Kippur. I've listened to the Kol Nidre. You can find it on YouTube. It's beautiful prayer. And I didn't really have anything prepared. I wasn't really going to do this, but I'm not in a synagogue. There's no synagogue here that I find comforting. But, you're my synagogue. You're my congregation. So I'm hoping that we can spend some time together during this holy day. I found an old sermon. For a while I was in kind of rabbi pro tem at the Messianic synagogue in Philadelphia when I lived there. And I found this Kol Nidre sermon, and I'd like to share it with you. I got to wear the cheaters to look at it because I don't have it in front of me on a panel. So forgive me for that. Kol Nidre has been used as a polemic against the Jewish people to prove that we are untrustworthy and that our word is useless. There was even a movement within Judaism to remove this prayer. Once it was discovered that its origin is in 7th century Spain, where persecution of the Jewish people, this was during the Inquisition, caused many thousands to take oaths against their beliefs and swear allegiance to Christianity. The true reason for its existence became known, and when this happened, it also explained the obvious anomaly of asking to be forgiven from an oath when the Torah states that all oaths are binding. This prayer, the Kol Nidre prayers, is to release us from improper and coerced oaths, and only those oaths made to God. It is not a get-out-of-jail-free card, and for those obligations and promises that we've made to other people. This day is all about forgiveness from sin. It is not just that we ask God's forgiveness of us, but it's also that we should remember to forgive others. It's very important that we also remember to forgive ourselves from sins we have committed. Often we forgive others before we forgive ourselves. Isn't it strange that we would be willing to do this? After all, if we can love others enough to forgive them, shouldn't we be able to love ourselves as well? When we refuse to forgive ourselves, even after we've asked God to forgive us, well, it's kind of like placing ourselves over God. Often someone may say, "There's no way God can forgive me for this." That person doesn't understand grace. That person doesn't understand that God is more able to do everything than we can. Romans 5:20 tells us that where sin is increased, so too grace is increased. There's no sin too big for God, all right? And he's able to increase his grace and thereby forgive whatever sin it is, no matter how big it is. And God is not just willing to forgive. He tells us that in Ezekiel 18:23. It's even his way of seeing our sin is compassionate. In Numbers 15:25-26, God states that we will be forgiven from our sins, what we did in error. In error, God sees our sins as errors on our part. This demonstrates his compassionate and forgiving nature. Sin, of course, is still sin, and sin is rebellion, and sin is disobedience. And the wages of sin are death. All right, Shaul told us that in Romans 6:23. But it's only because God is, God, that he is willing to see this horrible sin as of his children as just his children making foolish mistakes. But don't get comfortable. Not for a second, though. Sin must be removed from our lives if we want to be with God. He can look kindly upon us, but, he's still God. He's still holy. And there's no room for sin in his presence. And it's really hard to turn this page. We should be careful not to take advantage of his nature and act, like sin's not that bad. It's okay if we sin now and then. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, you make a mistake. No, to do this is to trample the blood of Yeshua into the dirt. It's never okay to sin, right? Never okay to sin. It is sadly a part of our nature that we cannot control completely. That's why Yeshua died, to give us, through his power, the ability to overcome sin that we cannot overcome by our own power. Atonement of sin, well, it's a process. First, we have to recognize and take responsibility for our sinfulness. Second, we must want to do teshuvah. That means to turn from sin, and remove sin from our lives. Once we've done those first two things, then we can ask God to forgive our sins, which can only come through the shedding of innocent blood. We learn that in Messianic Jews 9:22, and which was actually done for us now more than 2,000 years ago. Some may ask, if we've been forgiven of our sins, then why do we need to do that anymore? I mean, if we've been forgiven our sins through the atoning death of Yeshua, why do we still have to do this Yom Kippur thing? Well, first and foremost, it's a commandment, duh. Even though our sins have been forgiven, don't we still sin? I mean, is there someone here who hasn't sinned lately and is still clean from the last time they asked forgiveness? I mean, is there anyone here who feels that he or she doesn't need to be forgiven from sin? No one. I don't see any raised hands. I'm sorry, I'm having fun. Well, good. Then we all have another good reason to be here and to be asking for forgiveness. We are also here to show solidarity with our unsaved Jewish brothers and sisters. Look at these prayers we are repeating. They ask for forgiveness from the sins that we have committed, the al-het, sins that we have done. Everything is a plural. Everything is plural. We've done it. Forgive us. This is not just a personal request. It is a community request. We are all asking for each other as well as ourselves. I ask you to be forgiven, and you ask for me to be forgiven, even as we each ask for our own forgiveness. Therefore, we are here to ask for forgiveness of all sinners who desire it. In truth, once a year is not enough. This day symbolizes what we should be doing every day. Every day. I personally, every morning, I ask God to forgive me whatever sins I may have committed. Because, I think a lot of us commit sins, we don't even know we're doing it. So, at the end of this night, when you're done listening to this or when you go to sleep, remember that right now we're gathered together here as a community before God, and we must take everything that we do in here out into the world. We gathered together as a community, encouraging and supporting each other so that we can take it outside on our own. Don't think that being here with me or being at a community church or a synagogue or whatever, don't think that, being there is the end product. You don't go there, charge up, and then stay there or leave it there. No, we have to gather our strength and ammunition for the war that's outside of our community. So take all that you gain during these messages and in your church or synagogue, take it out of there into your life, into the lives of those you meet and talk with. Together like this, in church or synagogue or online, wherever we are together, gathered together in His name, let these teachings stay with us. Learn it here and use it out there. All right, so that was my Kol Nidre service. I hope it means something to you, as it has always meant something to me. And as we look back and we ask forgiveness and we reconcile with God during this next 24 hours or so, be solemn, be introspective. This is what it's all about. Don't think for a second that just because Yeshua made it possible for us to come and ask forgiveness that we shouldn't. Every day. Yom Kippur is just another day. It's a holy day. Yeah, it's commanded by God, but it's just another day that we should be asking for forgiveness of sin. It should be done every single day. All right, well, I want to wish you all an easy fast.